Hello, everyone. My name is Flor Dorsley Moore. I'm the director for the Berkeley College Online Career Services team. And today is Friday, January 27th. Um, I am trying to record a webinar about working from home because I understand that there's a lot of students and grads who are interested in this topic. So I don't want to take up too much time. I do want you guys to reach out to your assigned career counselor if you have further questions or concerns. Certainly we are here and available to assist you. Let's get started. So first I want to go over the topics for this webinar. I'm going to try to briefly cover what kinds of opportunities exist that you can do to work from home, and how can you best find them, and what kind of employees employers are seeking to work virtually, as well as I'll share just a few selected resources with you. So some quick facts. I'm going to outline the agenda for today. And at first, we'll talk about some facts and statistics on working from home and how it is, I guess, in the United States and, just in general. Then I'll have a section on finding opportunities and what kind of opportunities there are. The second part is going to talk about what kind of candidates employers are looking for and, what you need to have, I guess, to be prepared to work from home. And then part 3 is going to be my selected resources. So starting again with the facts and stats. I don't know if you're aware, but according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, almost a quarter of all employees that they keep track of reported doing some of their work remotely. And that's up from 19% in 2003 to 2015. So those are the most recent records that I was able to find. And I think that's significant also because I think it's a little bit low, but it's difficult to really measure, according to the research that I did, exactly how many people are working remotely, because the definition of work from home varies so much among different groups of people who are looking at these statistics. So, for example, some people will work primarily in an office but then take some work home or log into their office from home, either on their phone or on their computer or desktop at home. So that kind of, I guess, muddies the waters a little bit. It's really a little bit challenging if you're not working with the same terms. There's also people that have home-based businesses that could be considered working from home. But if they don't have an actual office to work from, it's a little bit of a misnomer, if you will, because it's not the same thing as someone who has a job being hired by an organization to work remotely. So I wanted to share this statistic with you according to research from the website Global Workplace Analytics, and they look at work from home statistics globally, obviously, not just in the United States. And they say that if someone takes work home after being at the office or, away from their house, they consider that telework. But if someone works at home instead of driving to an office, then they consider that telecommuting. So that's the widely used term that they would like to, I guess, present to everyone, that telecommuting is more, the common, I guess, view of working from home, so telecommuters. But then, even more recently, they were saying that there's a lot of change in the terminology. It's, you can do searching for remote worker or virtual employee, and that can also give you some results if you're looking for work from home types of opportunities. Okay, and what else can I tell you? So a recent survey shows that 80 to 90% of the U.S. workforce says they would like to telework at least part-time. 2 to 3 days a week seems to be the sweet spot that allows for a balance of work at home and work at the office. So, I think that's interesting to note because a lot of people say, oh, if I could just work from home, I would never go into the office. But I can tell you from my experience, I actually enjoy going into an office as well as sometimes being able to work myself by myself, privately in my home. I think working 100% exclusively one way or the other takes some getting used to if you're not used to doing it that way. So if somebody's always working from home and then they have to go into the office, it's just an adjustment that you have to make, and vice versa. And I thought this was also a curious stat. The demographics of a typical telecommuter is an older person, 50 or plus. They're college educated, generally, of course. They're salaried. They're a non-union employee. So, I think that's challenges maybe some of our perceptions, it at least challenged mine, of having this really young, hip type of employee who's on their phone and working while they're, I don't know, on the train or on the beach or walking outside. A lot of these work from home types of jobs are filled by much older individuals than we think. So facts and stats. Just one more slide with this, and that's that using home as a reasonable accommodation per the ADA, 463,000 disabled employees regularly work from home. So almost 10% of the disabled are working from home. And, I think this is another benefit that people who may feel that, they are challenged to work in a more traditional environment. There are work resources for people with disabilities. I didn't include them in my resources, but if you reach out to me, I will definitely share that with you. Also, non-exempt employees are far less likely to work at home on a regular or ad hoc basis than salaried employees. So this is usually seen as a benefit to those employees by the managers or the HR departments for the companies. Larger companies are more likely to allow telecommuting than smaller ones, which is not to say that smaller ones do not. I can attest that I was able to work from home from a smaller company as well as from a larger company. And I'll tell you my story in a little while, but I just want to give you some of these demographics first. And then non-union organizations are more likely to offer telecommuting than those with unions. So let me tell you, before I start talking about some of the types of opportunities that I researched, let me tell you about my story. So years ago, I say about 16 years ago, I was working for an executive recruiter in New York, and I had the occasion to increase my family. So I had to be home with my newborn daughter. So, I had been working with my employer for a little bit of time, and I explained to him that I really, could not come into work and would like to work from home. And at the time, he said, I really don't know how we could do that because your job really requires you to be in the office. And it was frustrating to me because I felt I could still do the work that needed to be done, but I needed to be home with my daughter because she was born premature and she had some health concerns. I wanted to make sure that I was there for her, but I, of course, needed an income. So, fast forward 3 months later, I continuously campaigned and was just persistent, and my boss never told me flat out no. He just said, let's think about how this would work. He kept asking me how I would want to propose it and what types of work I could see myself doing. And, lo and behold, I convinced him, and he sent me a computer, a phone, copier slash printer slash fax machine. He subsidized my phone um, um, bill, I should say. He didn't send me a phone, but he sent me the computer and he subsidized my phone bill. And I was able to carve out a little bit of space in my living room to be able to work remotely for my employer. And he paid me, a prorated fee of what I was, originally making on an hourly basis. And I was making pretty good money, so I was glad to see that he was willing to still pay me that amount. And what I did was I worked with his clients who were looking to get help with their resume, who needed assistance with interviewing, preparing for an interview. I also worked on his database remotely, entering candidate resumes and uploading job orders. Just really kind of doing a lot of administrative tasks as well as speaking to candidates over the phone. So that was my first work from home job. And I did that for about, I'd say a good 6 months or so. And then his business had a turn for the worse, and he wasn't able to keep me on. But that was my first opportunity to actually work exclusively from home. I went into the office maybe once, I'd say a month, very rarely, because I really needed to be with my daughter, and I didn't have, reliable, regular childcare. So I had to make arrangements, well in advance if I was going to leave her and be into my office. But I was able to do conferencing, video conferencing, telephone conferencing with my employer, and I made quite a bit of money, doing it that way, even though it was part-time. Now, my second experience working from home is more recent. I, was able to get my master's degree, and when I graduated, I decided I wanted to see if I could find a teaching opportunity. And I was already working at a university. At that point, I'd had probably somewhere around 6 or 7 years of experience working in a university. So, my goal really was to see if I could find employment to supplement what I was doing at the university. So I wanted to work off hours on the weekends. I did not want to leave my university position, and I thought maybe I could teach sort of on the side. And so that's what I did. I applied only to work that would allow me to work either on the weekends or from home entirely on the evenings. And there were several websites that I was able to find that would allow me to do that. Now, one thing, if you are looking to do that type of work, teaching from home, it's so very beneficial to have a master's degree. If you have a master's degree, it just makes you so much more marketable. And there are many, many universities that won't even hire you with the master's. They're expecting you to have a PhD or almost, everything but the doctorate. I think there's another term for it. Because they have those, regulations, or they have those requirements for any teaching faculty. So I was lucky. I managed to find an opportunity within my specialty, which is career, planning and exploration and management. Teaching those types of courses for an online school, and I really enjoyed it. I did it for a number of years. I'm still considered an adjunct faculty with the university. It's not, I don't do it for Berkeley, but I do feel that, that was an opportunity for me to really reconnect in a different way with students, and it definitely helped me with the technology piece of it because, until then I had been working at an on-the-ground university, and they're not always up to date with their technology. But this university, because, they were subsidizing me, I was able to use my webcam. I learned how to use the headsets. and a lot of different software to be able to log in remotely into their database systems, and really, increased my skills in that regard. And once you have that on your resume, I mean, you can take that anywhere. So I was really lucky to be able to do it, and I love teaching too. So that was a great experience. So I just wanted to give you those two stories, long, but I hope that that kind of gives you some idea of the range of opportunities that you could potentially get. And I really, can say that the first job was more as a result of the fact that I had a good relationship with my employer, that I was able to negotiate the work from home arrangement. The second job, I went through the entire process. I actually saw the posting online, applied, and they responded to my application, and I didn't have a contact or anything to advocate for me. I went through the application process like someone would normally go through for any job, provided them with all of my transcripts and all of my background references, and they considered me for the position and trained me and ended up hiring me. So I just wanted to share that with you so you have some idea of kind of what my story is. So what types of opportunities or industries can you expect would offer work from home? A whole range of industries. This was surprising to me as well, because I was not aware that the military is the top work from home industry, according to the Department of Labor Statistics, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Department of Labor. In descending order, the other industries that allow work from home or that have work from home, computer and mathematical industries, obviously, if you're working on the technology sector, a huge population of them work from home because of the nature of the work that they do. Arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media occupations, they also have opportunities to work from home. When I was doing research, there's a number of music studios for people that do that type of work that are in people's homes. Because there's so much change in the way that music is produced. For example, the way that films are produced, that have changed the industry. You don't need a huge studio in some remote location or in a huge business district anymore. You can do a lot of that type of work from home on a small piece of equipment like a laptop and a couple of other instruments, and still do quite well for yourself, apparently. Farming, fishing, and forestry, life, physical, and social science occupations, legal occupations, community and social service occupations, architecture and engineering occupations, business and financial occupations are the last. And that is completely counterintuitive to me. I would not think that that would be the case, but there you have it. In descending order, these are the top industries which feature work from home. And what are the higher paying occupations? So now you know the industries that tend to be the most populated with home or remote workers. Top paid among work from home sectors are home-based physicians and radiologists. So I find that curious because, radiology is one of those things where you really do not, you can get a certificate or you can go to school specifically for radiology, but you do not need to necessarily be a physician or a doctor to do that. Anesthesiologists, there's other types of medical fields in which you really do have to study to a certain extent, but the radiologists, they are reading, tests, and they are an X-rays, and so they are not given as much training, but it's suspected that they earn near the 1,975 median weekly income. And that makes it a six-figure job, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So, of course, you should know, of course, that the IT or computer technology work sector, as well as marketing, advertising professionals, are also listed among the top paying for those who work from home. And I included those because those are some of our majors here at Berkeley. And when I hear students saying, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find an opportunity, when I get out of schooling at Berkeley, you should know that those two fields are some of the hottest fields and more higher paying occupations, according to our experience here and certainly as reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So, even though we don't, have a pre-med or a radiology program, you can still enjoy, some of the benefits of working from home if you are studying in those majors. So what kind of candidates do employers hire? Well, what I have seen and what employers have told me, and also, in my research for this presentation, these are the traits and characteristics that employers consider highly employable. They want someone who is organized, certainly, adaptable, and able/willing to work non-traditional hours. The increase in the technology makes it also likely that you're going to be working almost seamless hours. So if you have that flexibility, that makes you certainly a much more appealing candidate. Special skills that are in demand, such as, languages, I'll tell you Arabic, any of the Asian languages, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. Software mastery or trained in hard-to-fill jobs or able to learn them. So what do I mean by software mastery? There are, programs, computer programs that are in demand by businesses that are looking for remote workers. So financial and accounting software or word processing software or communications, marketing, publishing software. Those are all very much in high demand if you can, create a presentation and include Excel charts, graphs, and figures. Those are the kinds of things that people are willing to pay for somebody to do from home if you have those skills. And if you don't have those skills and you're willing to learn them quickly, you could be very much in demand for employers looking for those types of skills. If you're willing to travel or have the flexibility to do so, that also is another advantage that employers want. How about excellent written and oral communication skills for phone and email interactions? Certainly, if you can interact in person, that's always in demand. But when you're working, as they call it, high tech, you also have to keep in mind what they call high touch and be personable, have those interpersonal skills, those great communication skills to be able to connect with people even if they're not right in front of you, to be perceptive and have those listening skills and have those interpretation skills so that if someone is trying to convey a message to you, you can still get as much as you can from that interaction, even if you don't see them. And finally, working well in a team as well as on their own to meet target deadlines. So much work is now done within working groups of people that are not in the same room, at the least, if not in the same country. So if you are working remotely, often you're working not by yourself, but you're working on a team or you're working as part of a group or a department. At the minimum, you'd be working with your supervisor to accomplish something. So if you have issues working well with other people, you don't like people telling you what to do, or you can't follow very well, or you have trouble leading or managing, whenever you are working along with other people, to meet a deadline, different personalities may emerge. So the more agreeable and, able to work interpersonally, I guess is what I mean to say, that you are, the more likely that you'll be able to see yourself, or the employers will be able to see you fitting into their team and working on their projects. What else? Okay, so I cannot do this presentation fairly without talking about updated technology. Just like when, we have students at our online campus who are new to working on, going to school online, they have to meet certain minimum technology requirements. If you are looking to work online, you definitely want to have, as much as possible, updated technology, and be aware of what the latest technology is that exists to help you to be more efficient, more effective, more productive, so that employers know that you can be available to them pretty much when they need you. So telework, for example, is often facilitated by tools and has grown and developed now so much because of groupware and virtual private networks, conference calling, video conferencing. You have virtual call centers that use people from all over the world to, help customers, or for companies to have, access to resources for their clients. Voice over IP, and the decreasing cost of good quality laptop computers have facilitated more work from home. So if in the past you felt deterred because you, associated having good technology with paying a lot of money, you should look into it now, because there's a lot of resources that exist for people who are doing this on a shoestring budget, if you will, and want to still be available to their employers, but aren't paying the thousands and thousands of dollars it used to cost to have these types of technologies. The other thing that you should know is, certainly if you have local area networks that help to share resources, client-server computing, as I said, virtual private networks are a big area that, a big thing that have helped people be able to work from home. Laptops, cloud computing, Wi-Fi, and smartphones. Smartphones, we cannot smartphones and tablets, I didn't put tablets in there, but all of these more mobile devices, I cannot, what is the word that I can say, overemphasize how key and important that has made business and working remotely for so many people. Now there are so many people that I see. When I used to go to meetings and people would be bringing their laptops, I was so jealous because, at the time I really couldn't afford to have a laptop, and I knew I wanted to eventually be one of these remote workers working anywhere with my laptop. Now those big clunky laptops are a thing of the past. So many people just come to the meeting with their smartphones. They have their smartphones, they're able to work, they can download information. They're so powerful now. They can write on them. The Galaxy Note allows you to use, a stylus like a pen, and you can take notes with that. They're able to do reports. They're obviously able to speak. They're able to do video conferencing on their phone. I mean, it's just amazing how the technology has advanced so far, so that what used to be needed is no longer, so that you can still get your work done on smaller and smaller devices with much more power than before. And last but not least, candidates that are looking to get hired from home should also be available for, communicating in ways that maybe in the past they didn't. You know, back in the day when they first started communicating via email, I thought, wow, this is so crazy that you can get a response from someone from so far away in an instant. Well, now we have texting, instant messaging, um, camera photos, so you can, transfer video clips, at the rate of seconds to an employer or to a client. There's just, no telling what else you can do as we venture into the future. So really keeping up to date with the latest technology is what will allow you to always be able to say that, you can work with an employer who may be looking for those types of skills and is not able to afford to have somebody in their office, but would be willing to pay you to keep that technology, or may be able to give it to you um, as a benefit of working from home for them. As I said, my employer provided me with pretty much almost all of my technology except for my cell phone, and even that they paid for my cell phone bill for me. So, it's worth it for some employers to keep you up to date as well. Okay, so finally, we're going to talk about our resources. I definitely recommend that you research information online, speak to your career counselor, because, I can tell you that there is so much information that I could have included, but I wanted to keep this webinar short. But I'll give you a couple of the things that I use. I went onto Global Workplace Analytics to talk about on that website that I have there on the screen. It shows you how you can calculate the cost savings of having you work from home to your employer. So if you were in the situation or are in the situation that I was in years ago, and I wanted to work from home, but I couldn't quite explain to my employer how beneficial that was for him, that easily. If I had known about this website, I would have been able to do it. So this is a website that actually lets you plug in, how much you're making and what, type of scenario that you're in, so that you can talk about to your employer the return on their investment to have you working from home. A website that I love, 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 and I would not be doing my job if I didn't share this with you. I talk to everybody I know about it, and this is definitely one of the standards that we have at Berkeley to make sure that every student and grad is aware of LinkedIn.com. It's a great, it's basically over several hundred million. I want to say it was over 300 million profiles are posted here. So the fact of the matter is that LinkedIn has revolutionized the recruiting industry, whether it be after school, college, recruiting, or if you are a career changer, if you're, as I said, somebody looking for opportunities to work within a specific sector or working from home specifically. LinkedIn allows you to search, to navigate, and to actually apply for opportunities with people whom you are connected to. And what's great about LinkedIn is you can connect to people and then have a way to connect to their connections. So it's just a great tool and resource. We have all kinds of guidelines and informational fact sheets and presentations that we can share with you. Please connect with your online, or with you, I always say online because that's where I am. Please connect with your career services team to find out more information about it. But all you have to do is create a profile, and most of the people that I know have free profiles that they have on LinkedIn, which gives you a whole lot of functionality. There is a premium or a paid service for LinkedIn, but I found that many of my students can get all of the functionality that they need using the free profile option. So hundreds, literally hundreds, if not thousands of jobs are posted here daily by companies seeking virtual employees. And they're legitimate companies, legitimate opportunities. You know, using the keywords that I shared with you earlier, you can find those opportunities. And if you, intersect those keywords with specific industry keywords, then you'll be able to narrow down your search, because there are millions of jobs posted on LinkedIn all around the globe. This is a newer site to me. It's called Penny Hoarder, and it's on Facebook. So if you have a Facebook account, and I know a lot of our students, at least online, do, this is a great little site to check out. It has articles, job postings, and really interesting information about working from home. I posted on the Berkeley College Facebook page at least 2 articles that they had featuring non-traditional or not atypical work from home opportunities. So please check that website out. I just want to give it a little bit of attention because it's new to me, and I thought there were some really interesting perspectives there that I hadn't even been aware of. So I thought that would be a good thing to share with you. And there's certainly a ton of other websites. There's bookjobs.com, where they have working on an editorial side or working with audio books. I've had people tell me, I work from home assembling things or transcribing, medical documents. I have several people that I know. One person who used to work at our online team who is now working exclusively from home because she had a baby. And so she, before she left, she was able to look for an opportunity to work exclusively from home doing marketing at home. She works on presentations. She works on client documents. One of my family members, she's a cousin of mine. She works from home for a medical insurance and billing company, doing all of their medical records and, as I said, insurance billing. So there's just a whole host of different opportunities that you can explore in the fields that you're interested in. If you are not sure how you could find those opportunities, again, connect with me or your career counselor. Now, this last website is just such a great website. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, onetonline.org, and that's where I got the figures that I shared with you at the beginning in stats and facts. Here is where you can find the latest census and IRS figures on how much is earned by remote workers, what kinds of education and training they would expect to have, and it's also good for forecasting certain industries and careers. It shows you the level of education. If you were concerned, is the degree that I'm going for really going to get me where I need to go? Well, the information is available. It's publicly available information from people who actually report this to the United States. So I really like sharing this website with students who are just exploring their careers and trying to see what types of options that they have. It's a great website. I highly recommend it. So my final tips and techniques before I send you on your way. Certainly, there are a lot of scams out there. So I don't mean to say that it's so easy to find and you should apply for the first thing that comes your way. Remember, never to pay anyone to find jobs for you or anyone that's requesting you to send money in the mail, or if you go to an agency, they're asking you to pay them. There's plenty of free resources out there. I'm not going to say that every job is going to be plentiful, but I will say that if someone is charging you and claiming that they're going to easily get you jobs working from home, I would pause before you pay any money. if you're unsure if they're legitimate, contact your career counselor. We'll do the vetting for you. We'll reach out to them. I've done that for some of my students who've been unfortunate to be the targets of scams. And we are all professionals, so we share information. If we experience something that we find to be suspicious, we let our superiors know, and we try to protect our students and our grads from these unscrupulous scammers. I also want to make you aware I do have another webinar called Job Searching Safely Online. So if you have suspicions, or if you want to know what some of the ways that you can do that are, please let me know and I'll be happy to send you the link to that. Beware of timing. If you want to propose a special work from home arrangement or shared work, or something that's a little unusual than your traditional 9 to 5 to your current employer, pay attention to their budget, pay attention to, their, as they call them, pain points. Are there things that, you can show them that would benefit them to have you work from home? Sometimes people are, so eager to propose the work from home situation, they're not thinking about it from the perspective of the employer. And you also want to not propose something where you haven't been able to prove your value, your trustworthiness to the employer yet, and then they just deny you based on the fact that they're not sure whether or not they can rely on you to actually do that work. So just keep timing in mind as to when you propose it, and if you are not given a flat-out no, be persistent. Revisit it again in another month or a few weeks. Give them some time to think about it, and really listen to their concerns and try to address them as best as you can. Certainly keep your technology current. If your current employer won't purchase it, consider investing in it yourself. If you're already working from home, which I would imagine most of you are not, that's why you're here, but if you haven't, started investing in the latest technology and aren't familiar with it, a quick and dirty way is to go to a rental center and rent it over the weekend and just become familiar with some of the technology if you need to do that. There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube if you need to show yourself how to learn a particular software. Maybe it wasn't included as part of your coursework here at Berkeley. And if you're an alum, you need to be aware that our Alumni Institute often has refresher courses on some of the software that is most popular, like Microsoft PowerPoint or Word or Excel. So, please, be sure to reach out to us and let us help you to find those opportunities to keep your technology current and resources that you can use. Finally, stay organized in your search. Stay organized in the work that you do. I know that this became somewhat of a challenge for me when I was I know that I was looking for quite some time, but when I got my job work teaching from home, it kind of happened fairly quickly. I finished my training, and I believe it was the next week that I was assigned a class. And I think I was assigned 2 classes, and I had to quickly scramble to get myself up to speed, in terms of organizing because I had to give class presentations, I had to organize my rubrics, I had to organize my assignments, and put things into a workable system, if you will. So, the same way that you would have a filing system or other organizational, plan to get your work done in the office, you need to do that even more so for yourself when you work from home. You don't want things scattered all over the place like this poor guy here in this image, Post-it notes everywhere, and, not really being able to keep track of things. The best and, sometimes the most difficult is to have a dedicated space for your work at home. I've seen people work from home with their kitchen table. I've done that when I was working from home the first time with my boss's business. But sometimes you're working with very sensitive information or confidential information. You don't want that to be a breach of your company's policies, which could mean high risk for them or liability to you. So, invest in a really good, filing system, and or think about how you're going to organize and keep safe your computer records and files so that you do not compromise your professionalism by, having things out in the open and unorganized and, scattered all over the place. So that's it. That's all I have to share with you today. I really appreciate you attending. Again, that's my contact information on the screen. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much, and have a good day.